Oh, hello, folks. How are you? Pardon me. Caught me right in the mid-cough. It's been a little while. Hey, hang on, I'm a bit dark over here. Let me turn another light on. I'm not sure if that completely helps, but anyway, it's as good as it gets. Hello, everyone. I'm sorry I've been a bit shy of shows for the last couple of days. What can I say? The Thai assassin had a bloody good go at killing me. Certainly managed to cripple me for a couple of days. It turns out, who knew? Ribs, spine, all sort of associated things. So she's accidentally done a bit of damage, and it meant that for the last 4 days I haven't slept for any length of time, much at all, except for last night. Finally, last night, some relief, and that came from. I don't have it here with me. I've had it outside. That came from a little black rubber ball that you can buy at Kmart for $6. And I put that up against a wall and rolled on it like a cow having a good scratch on a fence. And it popped back in something in my spine, which allowed me to actually regain breath. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't speak. I couldn't take great deep breaths. I couldn't move very fast. I was walking, with a real slant to the right. Yeah, it's been an interesting couple of days. And doctors, of course, charge you money to tell you absolutely nothing. I think the fee was $80 to go in and get a referral to get an X-ray, and then another $80 to come back and explain what the X-ray said, which essentially said nothing broken. Good luck with everything else. So can't help you with much else. So can I tell you that pretty much since that, can I say, rather not unexpected and terribly useless moment of modern medicine involvement, which I resisted very, very strongly, I came home, I pulled out the iTerra wand, and I pulled out one bottle of the comfrey oil that I've been sent from one of you wonderful folks. And I have been liberally applying it and blowing myself silly until Sharon, the housemate, suggested that balls on her chest was always a great solution for her. And after we laughed and I winced because laughing hurt like buggery, she shared with me her little black rubber ball from Kmart. And using that across here on my chest and down deeply into my arms and whatnot, up here into my neck, was simply amazing. I felt little things go crick, 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 and then a very deep movement deep in my spine. And I all of a sudden could take a breath again, and it didn't hurt. I could stand up straight. I could walk. I could talk. And yes, so it was truly, truly amazing. A castor oil compress, Michelle. Now, I've had castor oil suggested to me for a variety of other things, but I haven't actually heard of a castor oil compress. A bath. The problem with getting into the bath was, well, there are a number of problems, if I'm honest, with the bath. One, getting into the bath. Two, getting into the bath and still having water in the bath when I'm in the bath. Three, having enough water to actually cover or do any help for the parts of me that were hurting while I was still in the bath. Four, how to get a bigger bath. And not really a problem that I'm financially able to, or indeed physically able to fix. So didn't spend too much time in the bath idea. Can I just put it that way? But can I say God bless the people? I wish I could remember who sent me the comfrey oil. I do have it written down somewhere, but yeah, it could be on one of 3 different computers. There's been so much changing going on the last 12 months. So thank you to whoever has sent me that comfrey oil, because I swear, folks, it has made a phenomenal difference to particularly under, or should I say, over my heart. The damage to my rib and cartilage is directly over my heart, a rib directly over my heart. And there's some more damage at the side. and what I thought was damage at the back, but it turns out not so much. That was spinal, but it took a couple of days. Well, it took a reasonable time for the swelling to come up, because Friday night I knew I wasn't well, but I thought I was on the back end of it. I thought I was getting over it. After Friday night, I went down very, very badly. Didn't get very much sleep at all Friday night. Didn't be able to catch up on any of that on Saturday or Sunday or Monday for that matter. But Monday night, last night, huge relief. And to a point where I thought I was going to be able to do a show last night. And that in part was due to the little black ball and due to daughter Laura, who could see that I was in pain and that Panadol just wasn't cutting it, and Nurofen just wasn't cutting it. So she brought out the big guns, her period pain pills. You say that 3 times fast after a scotch. And there's something starting with an N. I roared up, I laughed because, interestingly enough, I used to have to go and buy Pond Stand for her mother years and years and years ago. But this isn't Pond Stand. This is something else. But God, love it. Talk about pain relief. Oh, worked well. So out of that and the little black ball, last night I slept and I had planned to do a show, but I lay down on my bed to see if I could and if I could actually get comfortable. And I did that at about 5:45, and I woke up at 7:30 this morning. So my apologies. It ran a bit longer, the test, than I thought it would, but it was the first really, really nice sleep I've had. I have had a back injury previously. Some years ago, I broke the L1 vertebra in my back while I was filming a television commercial for a very well-known fish finder. And it was because of something stupid that happened in the boat. The guy that driving the boat sort of did something he could have done other things, put it that way. But the end result was me in hospital for 14 or 13 days or something, and then learning how to walk again on a walker for the next 3 months while put myself back together. So my back has had its own little bit of trauma at time, and I was a little bit worried that she'd done some damage to that. That's a few years old now, quite a few years old. But thank God, and by the grace of God, there goes me. No damage there, and it doesn't look like to be anything ongoing either, I'm hoping. So, yeah, real interesting few days I've had. And I'm still not out of the woods yet. My back is still not in correctly. The original reason I had a headache was because elements of my neck and my back were out. One of you wonderful viewers, who shall at this point remain nameless until I get permission to say otherwise, invited me down to her place over the weekend. I think it was Saturday. I popped in to help her out setting up with StreamYard. Actually, she wants to start live streaming, so when she has all that set up, she'll be coming on and having a bit of a chat, and her face might be a bit familiar to you. We also had a little bit of help there from her with my neck. She's a therapist and was able to relieve 2 big things in my neck, which were also out. She didn't work on my spine at all because of obviously it was a bit difficult, and I couldn't lie down. I really couldn't apply pressure or anything. It was quite painful. So I thank her for helping me with what she did there. But honestly, until I got back on these pills yesterday, and more particularly Sharon's little black ball on the chest, it made such a difference. So if you suffer, neck stress and pain down through the back and through your neck and shoulders, and you find yourself hunched, or you do a lot of stuff in front of computers, can I urge you to go Kmart and get a little $6 plastic ball. It's quite hard, or rubber ball, it's not plastic. It's quite hard, but if you have a big dog like Baxter, for those of you who aren't aware of Baxter, I don't have a picture loaded up of him. Baxter is a Mastiff. The ball that Sharon lent me dropped on the ground this morning outside, and before I could get to it, he did, and it took him about 2 seconds to bite it in half. And feeding him, it's the kind of thing that you can play cricket with. It's that kind of hard. So get one of those balls and rub it. Put the balls on your chest and rub it up and through here, and you will find these muscles here across the top of your chest do an awful lot of stuff to your back and middle of your back and all that. And it was such a relief to me. Hence, I'm a lot better in where I am now. So when's the next massage, says David Watson? Well, as I had to basically supply my own happy ending for this one, I'm not sure it'll be Thai. I've heard every happy ending joke. Darren Bergwerf near fell off the road when I was talking to him the other day. And I was talking to Patriot 101, Glenn and John yesterday. And I was explaining probably a little differently in terms of the way I'm explaining it to you, what had happened. And they found it quite funny and amusing. So I always like to think at those times where people are laughing at me and the pain and the suffering that we go through, I always like to remind myself that comedy, the best comedy, is always at the expense of something or someone else, usually someone else's suffering. Now, quite often it can be the comedian's own suffering or the story that they tell. But comedy isn't funny unless there's a shocking suffering element to it there somewhere. And I guess how dark your sense of humor is also a measure of your personality type. And that can work in a number of different ways, because trust me, I have at times an extremely dark sense of humor. But at other times, I prefer to think of myself in the vein, if I have to think of me in humorous terms, as more old school. For those of you that don't know, I used to be Col Elliott's tour manager for a little while. Col and I were great mates when I was working in radio for many years, and I rang him up once and said, I want to get out of radio. You walk into radio stations all the time, see if anybody needs someone, let me know. And he rang me back half an hour later and said, my tour manager just quit. You want to come on the road with me? And I said, yep. So that's what I did. Comedy has been something I've studied at, worked at, played at, and learned a lot from a lot of very good people, including Cole, especially Cole, if I'm honest. So I don't mind people laughing at me. I don't mind people laughing with me. I just care that you are laughing, because I'm very much in the camp of laughter is the best medicine, and it's certainly working, here at the moment. So, Aussie Sue has big news. A beautiful new granddaughter born on the 21st. Oh, yes, Nana, you will be very proud. Now, that's going to be worthy of a wine on the back porch overlooking the Mount Isa sunrise, or sunset, I should say. Yeah, absolutely spectacular. Do we have a name? Let me look further down. Tennis balls do work too, Sunflower. You're absolutely right. We can't have tennis balls here for the aforementioned dog reason. Tennis balls last a blink of an eyelid, really. Once they're in the mouth, one tooth, they're gone. That makes it, very, 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 very bad environment for tennis balls. Bad environment for many things, actually. We've been quite stunned at what he can chew through. He's got some pressure in there, which is great. Hello, Misha. Congratulations to Aussie Sue too. If I didn't say that, congratulations, of course. Neck, back, hips, bones started. That's not a nice place. I have a good mate from the London music group, Wazza, and Wazza has a fused vertebra in his neck. That's why he sort of has to turn and talk like that. So I understand the fusing side of things. Very, very uncomfortable. Uncle Sovereign's in the house. Nice to have you in town, buddy, and Veronique and everybody else. I'm just trying to scan down here quickly. Rapid gel. I've heard about that, Sue. Used on horses. Yep. It seems safe and perfectly applicable in size and shape for me too. So works out all right. Can I tell you, I had to feel for this little Thai masseuse. She was horrified that she'd hurt me, and it was pretty clear to everybody, probably at least in that section of the shopping centre, forget just that shop, the whole bloody shopping centre, it was fair to say that everybody knew something had happened because I made one of those noises that tends to put a quizzical look on people's faces and make you turn quickly and think, what the hell? So it wasn't like she was using my back as a trampoline. She wasn't. I think I've figured out why it happened, but I won't go into that here. Anyway, it happened, and she did everything she possibly could to alleviate the pain and whatnot that I was in. They did everything they could. They wanted to call me an ambulance, wanted to call me a doctor. In fact, wanted to take me literally across the aisle of the shopping centre to the doctor's surgery and have me seen to. But there was no need for that. No need for that at all. The name of the ball, Facebook user is all I've got here. The name of the ball is Anko Make It, an exercise ball, a black hard black ball or something it's called. You'll find it on the health shelves, I guess, at Kmart for $6. Anyway, so they did everything they could, and to a point where I even said, "Can we still do the cupping?" Because the whole reason I was there was to try and pull the muscles in my shoulders and around my scapula, particularly on my left side, out because they were all balled up and I was getting the shocking headache from it. And I thought, well, cupping will be all right on my shoulders and on the top of my neck and all that sort of stuff to relieve that pressure. It's not going to be around where I'm sore. And anyway, they didn't really want to do that. But they did suggest that, she'd keep rubbing it, make it feel better for me. And we're talking about the injury, just to be clear. I'm not sure whether or not I want to draw you this little mind picture. So let me scroll down to the bottom end of the comments. So stop me if I'm getting a little graphic for you, all right? Thank you, Misha. Thank you, darling. Stop me if I'm getting a little graphic for you. Do I want to share this? All right, I'll share this. So you're probably familiar that when you go in for a massage, you can leave various amounts of clothing on. I always choose to leave my jocks on, but I don't really wear anything else. So after the whole, bouncing on the back incident happened, the Thai assassin is standing behind me. I'm sitting down, sort of hunched forward on a chair, and she's reaching down over my right shoulder and down. Can I lower this a little? Down here under my boob, and rubbing over my heart, where I was saying before the most pain is sort of happening, right? And I was wincing and, wheezing when I was breathing in and making some silly noises. I was sort of self-assessing. I was wondering, A, whether the pain I was feeling was actually something that was broken, B, whether or not I'd punctured a lung or, it was that kind of problem breathing and all that. And I could self-assess enough to figure out that it might be broken, but I hadn't punctured a lung. And I said to the poor thing, who didn't speak very good English, bear in mind, she's got her hand down over my shoulder, rubbing over my heart, which is right under my boob, and I'm sitting there naked in my jocks. And I just said to her, I said, I bet you didn't expect to feel a boob like that after you got out of the shower this morning. or didn't expect to feel a boob on a guy like me after you got out of the shower this morning, because mine was probably bigger than hers, if I'm honest. And that's an embarrassing statement to admit. Anyway, she eventually caught on. I didn't think the joke was worth repeating, but she eventually caught on to the whole idea. And at the end of it, she gave me a phone number, and it all became quite apparent. The way she gave me the phone number was through a phone translator. She doesn't understand a word of English. It's not that the English isn't very good. It's just that English is not good, not there, not nothing. So we have since had a little phone tag translator thing where we have eked out a payment plan, because she has offered to pay for any medical expenses that I've had to incur and all that kind of thing. She's been dreadfully good. And I haven't, in all honesty, incurred any medical expenses. I just haven't been able to do anything for a week, which is certainly curtailed any donations that you might have felt you were going to give me if I'd bothered or been able to do a show. And that does have an impact. So, but anyway, I'm not going to do. We have settled on a milk tea. I don't drink tea much. Probably wouldn't have milk tea. Don't ask me how we got to a milk tea settlement, but in the translator on the way back, it's got, I will be free next month, and I will shout you a milk tea. Oh, no, it's not even shout. I will buy you a milk tea. So I got a milk tea date with a Thai assassin who doesn't speak English. We'll be doing it through a translator. So I might be busy that week, month. I don't know. I may not be able to breathe properly again yet. We'll see how it all goes. But I really like the way that she offered, if nothing else. So, yeah. Just think it's great. A milk tea. Not a straight tea, not an Earl Grey, not a. So if the milk tea, a Thai milk tea, is anything like a Thai massage, I'm going to book an appointment or an emergency position with a dentist shortly afterwards. Just going on past experience, you know. As Neil says, what could go wrong? Yeah, what could go wrong? Well, you know, milk tea might be, you know, some kind of Thai code for Muay Thai teeth rearranging. I don't know. A euphemism. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you, Chris. What are you saying here? No. A milk. Oh, no. What? No, I've never heard it called a milk tea. Oh, no, I can't tell you that story. But if any of you happen to know Patriot 101, ask him to tell you how I described. No, better not. No, I'm only going to get in trouble. Can I just say that I described a portion of the process, or at least the anticipation of some relief, by, you know, manipulating my rib around, and she was really trying to work my rib, massage and get a rib, which is essentially what's happened, to rib back into position. And I described her attempts at doing that probably a little unfairly, but for those of you of a certain age, I'm sure you'll understand it when I say the anticipation of a satisfactory outcome was on a par with the first time. I can't say it. I can't do it. I can't tell you. All right. Oh, shit. You're going to hate me for it. All right. But I'm going to tell you this. All right. So the anticipation factor of getting some relief out of her massaging, trying to push this thing back into place was only matched and tempered by the skill level that she'd applied on my back previously, and the fact that none of this massaging, rubbing, or pushing in places on my back seemed to be working. And I described it to Patriot 101 Glenn the other day as like having your first masturbation experience with a girl who's having her first masturbation experience with a boy, and the anticipation is right up there, except for the fact that every now and then you're racked with pain as the grip gets too hard or the action gets too strong, and parts of you seem to be ripped out by the roots, so to speak. You get the idea of where I'm going with this? So I know I'd gone too far. I couldn't not tell you, and now I regret telling you. But anyway, that's what it is like. Sometimes it's all in the touch. What can I say? For massaging and other things that you might use your hands for. So I'm a bit embarrassed. And that is a story that takes me back to my teen years, yes. And I'm sure a few of you blokes, if you're honest, will admit that you've had that experience on more than one occasion. And you girls, no, Christ, no, God, no, let's not go and get stuck into that. I'll be good. Should I be starting a sex advice show on the radio? You know, we're going to start this radio channel. I can't show it to you. We're going to start this radio channel. Years ago, there was a very successful love doctor. Used to work on the Southern Cross Stereo Network. She would get people to come in and talk about their sexual proclivities. Dr. Feelgood. She must be 70 now, retired, made a lot of money out of it. Was a real doctor. I think works out of South Melbourne, probably still does. I could tell you some radio stories about her, but we'll do that quietly. I won't get sued that way. Did I mention we're back on Nun 2K tonight? So nice to see everybody back on Nun 2K. We've been disappeared from there now for, well, I think we've actually got back on in shorter period than I was expecting to. They gave me a 2-week ban on it, but one of my strikes fell off on, what are we today? 23rd. So it fell off on the 21st. And I think with that strike, it might have shortened my not allowed to go live period by a day or 3. And voila, we're back on Nun 2K. For those folks that only see us on Nun 2K, you haven't missed too much. I didn't do too many shows in the last week or so because of various reasons, but mostly because I've been crook as 10 dogs. Not nice at all. Andrew. Thank you, brother. Yeah, just imagine the birds and the bees talk with Carl. Well, look, it's not that I'm unhappy to talk about these things or shy. It's just these are matters that ordinarily would not be voice of freedom kind of business, if you know what I'm saying. But I do feel like we are family, and I tend to share a lot with my family. Not my real family, because I guess I've overshared in the past. I don't know. But my family, my real family, my mum, my sister, they're not part of this. They smile politely and nod their head, and we avoid all conversation about it. So there's an element of sadness in that for me, but it is what it is. There's nothing much I can do about it. I get great joy out of you lot. You are my family, our family, Laura's too. And very soon, I'm going to come and visit you. I want to learn about you. I want to learn about your family. I want to learn about where you live, what your town is like. Is there a My Place in it? Can we get a My Place in it? We've got to get a My Place in it. Speaking of My Place, this Saturday, if you are anywhere close to driving to Sydney, then get along for what is going to be a wonderful meetup. This is not a protest. This is a get-together of My Place folks. And we are going to do that at the Stargazer Park at Barangaroo. Now, that is on the city side of the harbour, and I believe about a 10-minute walk from the Circular Quay station. So, pardon me. If you are interested, Darren Bergwerf is going to be there. I've heard that Dr. Billy Bay is going to be there. And I can tell you right now that I'm going to be there. I think that's news to everybody. I don't even think I've told Darren yet, or the Galactic Larrikins, who will be very, I hope, intrigued to hear of my arrival. They may not be happy, just intrigued. And expect a call, Rob, in the near future again. So I'm going to come down too. So if you're going to come and catch up, we would love to see you. It's a My Place day. It's not a Voice of Freedom thing. I'll come down and I'll try and bring some gear down. The Galactic Larrikins can supply the cameras. I'll supply the transmitting stuff, and we'll see whether or not we can't do a little live out of there. I think there will be a couple of speeches. Both Darren and Dr. Billy Bay will no doubt speak, but this isn't a protest. This isn't a rally. This is just a get together of My Place people. And if you are in a My Place, all our wonderful friends in Singleton, in Maitland, in Newcastle, come down. Love to see you. I think at this stage I will be flying down. I won't be driving, and Darren's going down and back in the day. I might end up having to do the same thing, provided I can get flights. I was looking earlier. It's very difficult to get a flight at the moment that it gets me into Sydney in a time where I can get to the event. So 12 o'clock at the Stargazer Park at Barangaroo in Sydney, a 10-minute walk from Circular Quay is what I have been told. Darren's catching the train from the airport, so I would be doing the same thing. And if you are somewhere in Sydney, rather than having to find a car park that costs you $276.54 an hour, then I'd be catching a train too. So I don't know how long the My Place thing is set to go for. I know Darren's flying back out the Saturday night, and I may well fly out that then too. It saves on trying to find somewhere to accommodate. And those costs that are associated with it. So, but we will spend the whole day, and hopefully after the formal part of it all ends, we can catch up, have a bit of a catch up, and plan something that's pretty big. You might get, well, we might have a bit, I might have an announcement then, but it's more likely going to happen a little further down the track. But I can tell you, folks, there is some wonderful, wonderful news coming our way. Some wonderful things, some opportunities, a great deal of growth, and it's only going to grow if you're going to be part of it. So really need your involvement. I need your involvement in more ways than one. And you'll be pleased to know that hopefully one of those ways that I won't need your involvement on the scale that we've had it on before and up until now is financially. We're going to do this and stand on our own 2 feet, folks, or we're not. It will require support, but it's going to require business support. It's and there is a plan. The company that Cass has put together for us is going to get going, and it's going to be exciting. There is a lot of great opportunities for a lot of us in this family. And if you have If you happen to be a producer of something, if you own a business, and you're not already aware of my place, then please become aware, or get in touch with me, or get in touch with my place, and let's start to set one up in your town if you don't have one already. Very shortly, they're going to launch the Unity Hub. This is a piece of brilliance, folks. Now, Friday night, I hope, just pardon me a minute, I have to cough, and this is going to. Sorry about that. Friday night, I hope to have Luke Hart on from the Gold Coast, my place, with Darren Bergwerf again. Darren may or may not be able to join me. We'll see what happens, but I hope to get Luke on. And he will explain the Unity Hub in a lot more detail than Darren was able to put into it last week, I hope. And it will be launched soon. I'm not going to blow anybody else's horn. We're going to get behind that, folks. It's going to blow Facebook off the face of the earth. And it is all going to work because it's based on us. It's us working together for us, to help us, to support each other, to benefit us all. A unified solution for us. And it's a great place for us to unite, first of all, and gain the direction and the support to go down those paths from others who have already done it and are putting a shitload of work into it. So, Penny, looking forward to seeing you in Sydney on Saturday. There's some things I want to talk about with you regarding the radio too, so you know that. Folks, have you ever wanted to be a radio announcer? Or have you ever wanted to do a radio show? Well, we're going to be able to help you do that. If you show some talent, some ability, then and you have a way to produce something, then we might be able to give you a platform to put it on. Like I say, if you have a business, if you make something, if you sell something that can be posted or shipped to someone who wants to own it anywhere in the world, then we want you to come and be part of us as a supporter, a sponsor of what we are going to be creating. It would be just the same as any other advertising kind of deal. However, you know that you'll be advertising to like-minded thinkers, motivated buyers, people who have money, who are prepared to spend it in the right directions and support the businesses that will support them. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. We're about supporting our local businesses and others that are part of the movement broader afield. I'm not suggesting you should be ordering your milk from cans if you live in Victoria. But if you can get, hormone-free product, including meat, pork, poultry, beef, pork, poultry, all of that, eggs, no problems. My place and the Unity Hub are how this is going to grow. It is very, very exciting to be part of, folks. And I am urging you to be a part of that as much as you can. And that's the beautiful thing about my place. It's somewhere where you can come at any stage of your development in this awakening process, from the very earliest of awakeners who are just starting to open their eyes and think there's something not quite right, to those of us that have been doing it for a bit longer. And you're not going to be judged. You're not going to be intimidated. You're not going to be laughed at or shown the door for, stupid things. What you will be asked, and about the only thing you will be asked to commit to, is working together, to not be divisive, to work with the team. And that means, sure, if you've got ideas, offer them up, but not to get your nose out of joint if they're not accepted because the team has decided to go a different direction for reasons that you may not fully understand because you haven't been privy to all the information. Petty politics or politics of any kind inside my place is not going to be welcomed. We are, I think, aiming to be the most unifying group in this country. And Darren Bergwerf has proven, and his teams that he's been able to set up, create, and unify, have proven it can be done. Proved it can be done. So the Voice of Freedom is going to become an extension of that. Hopefully we can drop the seeds everywhere we go, into places that don't have a My Place but want one. And that means you've got to tell us that you want that. So by all means, you can email Rachel and say, we live at such and such a place, a town, a portion of Australia. We want a My Place in this area. We will start a database. So when we get enough people, because what we know about this movement is there's a heap of us in it, but we don't wear little signs over our head saying, I believe what you believe. So it's hard to have that startup conversation, not knowing whether you're going to alienate or make a friend in the first 5 minutes of a conversation with them. We can make that easier for you. And we have already done that. Voice of Freedom meetups have been exactly for that reason. We get a couple of hundred people, complete strangers, who all happen to live in the same town or the same area, come in every night that we do one of those shows and meet each other. Some may know each other, but by and large, nobody knows everybody, not even in the little places. We've had people travel many, many hundreds of kilometers to come to shows so that they can meet other like-minded people and grow from that meeting. Those seeds are planted. And that's what Voice of Freedom will be able to do, and a lot more in the very near future, but only with your support. And for those folks who have supported me so far, both personally and financially, but there are others who've helped me emotionally, who've been my sounding boards, who've been my ass kickers. Hello, Vince. Who've been people who've been able to steady me and guide me as I've stumbled my way through getting to what we've got so far. And I'm very excited for our future, folks. We're about to get something very good, very powerful, a tool that will help us in this fight and potentially be a major tool to help us win this fight. And it wouldn't be possible without you, without your support, without your commitment, not to me, but to the movement, your commitment to the dream that I have, the idea that I have to create, because what we plan has never been, as far as I'm aware or anybody else is aware, done before. At least not the way I'm going to do it. And I'm excited, I'm honored, and I'm humbled that there are people among you who place a great deal of faith in me to follow through on that. Thank you for your commitment. Cass Smith is one of those people on many levels. She is one of the most amazing people I've met in my life to date. One of the most amazingly powerful and empowering people I've been around in my life. And to be associated with her, I am so grateful. It's certainly going to and has changed my life. I'm sure it'll change it further as we get deeper into this. But most of all, it's you lot that make the difference. This doesn't work without you, and I need your input, because without it, how do I tell people what we're fighting for? So it can't be my fight. I've only got a set of ideas. I'm not saying they're the right ones, but I am saying we need an area, a stage, a platform, a place where we can discuss every idea But we only discuss the ideas to a point where they are dismissed, where they have been argued through, dismissed by the majority. And then we move on to the next. And by that process, we have a public educational platform, information platform, an entertainment platform. But eventually, we have a platform where we will whittle down to a solution that works for us all, or at least the majority. In the very least, the majority. So, what is coming, folks, has to be about you. It's not about me. It's not about Cass. It can only work with your support. And that means at some point it will be financial, but only if you've got a business or only if you want to donate. Our biggest cost will always be fuel, food, and rent for the places that we've got to try and the beds we've got to keep for when we're not on the road. Some of those we're going to have ways of defraying that. So if you have a business and you don't mind spending, $250 to $1,000, we might be able to do something for you when we come to your town. If you have a festival in town, if you've got an event, something that brings tourists, if you've got a car show, a flower festival, a rodeo, a big team penning event, I don't care. Gladstone Harbour Festival, things that spring to mind I've done outside broadcasts from. We can come to your council area, your area, those event organisers, and provide them a complete television station to broadcast everything that happens at their event to big screens, which we can also supply. They're a contractor item. They have to be rented in, but we can supply big screens, but more particularly, we can supply all the infrastructure and backing, including commentary if required, for all of those events. All the while being able to push forward the My Place message, unity through community. I'm not going to be red pilling people at those sorts of events, but we will play a role. The Voice of Freedom name will be out there. And if people want to learn more, we'll have hopefully somebody who's better on the website than I am at keeping it up to date, updating it. So the vofhq.com will be a place you can not only come to for news and information, but where you can click on and listen to your online radio station, which at this stage I've just uploaded a library into it called The Greatest Songs of All Time. Have a guess how many songs are in that library. All right. Now, this is a radio library that is used in professional radio stations around the country, and quite a few commercial ones, community ones I'm starting to learn. So have a guess how big a music universe we call them in the biz, how big a music universe would be. Would it be 1,000 songs? Would it be 2,000, 5,000? 3,000, says Veronique. 1,500, says Adash. Both pretty good guesses, got to say. I won't wait for further guesses, but both pretty good guesses. Bit low for this one. The Greatest Songs of All Time library runs 16,500 songs. Big. I've had a listen to some of those, and they were probably the greatest songs at all time at some time. But if you had to draw a line under it rather than just keep growing the list, they may have fallen out of the bottom 40 years ago. Just saying. However, radio stations don't usually play or have a music universe of 16,000 songs. What they will do is choose somewhere between 1,500 and 5,000 songs that they will rotate through in different formats over the course of a year. So at this stage, I get a sneaking suspicion and a bit of a feel for the audience, but you're essentially going to program this radio station. I'm not sure if Vince has set it up yet, but you can try and email requests@vofhq.com. Now, if you have a request of your favorite song, then you can just email at requests and say, hi, this is me, I live here, and this is the song I'd like. And we will stick that song on and say, thanks, who you are and where you are, and hope you have a nice day. However, if you want to be a little bit daring, if you want to be a little bit more radio, and you happen to have a mobile phone, then you can pick up your mobile phone and you can record a little video, no more than, say, 15 seconds, right? Still make it emailable size. And you can record yourself saying, hi, this is me, wherever I'm at. And Carl, really love listening to the Voice of Freedom 80s hour or whatever. Can you play Men Without Hats Safety Dance? Please. Please and thank you. Always nice. Be polite. And email that to me. And what I will do is I will put that in with the song and play the whole lot out at the appropriate time. And not only will you be able to hear it on your internet radio if you happen to be driving around and just doing that, but you'll also be able to watch it on the Rumble channel as well. So love to have you as part of that. So Vince is setting up the requests at VOFHQ email address. Hopefully, he may have done it earlier today, but if you get it bounced, keep trying. It will come on later tonight. And I want to launch this radio station with the top 500 songs that you guys. All right. So the top 500 songs that you guys pick. And there's going to be a couple of different laws. J1, Folsom Prison, absolutely. I don't know if I should tell you this either. Somebody once heard me sing a song, and they wanted me to sing Folsom Prison. And I, at the time, was young enough, arrogant enough, stupid enough to absolutely hate country music and never be associated with anything remotely like Johnny Cash. Over the years, things have changed. I would never associate myself with Johnny Cash because that voice is just magnificent, a true original, and so unique in what he can do. But I have been having a bit of a chat to Patriot 101 on a number of different levels. Turns out he's started a band. His band is called VaxCon. 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 Love it. So I haven't really discussed it with him yet, but if we happen to get on the road, if we're doing launches, if there is a microphone and somebody playing songs, then I have been known to get up and sing on the odd occasion. And Folsom Prison Blues, or the Folsom Prison song, is something I would maybe attempt. Ring of Fire, maybe. Yeah, I'm not going to do a country music show. My appreciation for country music has changed somewhat, and I will demonstrate that for you very shortly. I'm still not. Let's just see how it goes. Put it this way: if we're going to play some music like this, I reckon I could sing this. I'd give this a bit of a go. But how good is this? So the story of what I'm about to play you may or may not know. Have you heard of Oliver Anthony? His real name is actually Chris. Now, he's recorded a song that he wrote himself called Rich Men North of Richmond. And it went to number 1 on the iTunes charts, knocking off Taylor Swift in 4 days. That's how long it took. I think it's number 1 just about everywhere except the Billboard charts at the moment, because they're based on record or CD sales and not so much private independent online sales, but that may have changed. Anyway, it is a truly magnificent thing. And being my first night back on None 2K. I don't think it'll get me banned. I am actually subscribed to the guy's channel, and I would recommend wholeheartedly to you that you go and look at Oliver Anthony on YouTube and check out this sheer piece of brilliance that he's come up with. I'll play a bit of it now, and yeah, get a load of this.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wait.
All right, so it's definitely something that I could go and sing. I like that kind of thing. I really wish I could play guitar, but that's where Glenn will come in, and maybe you. If you can play guitar and we get around a campfire one night, there may be singing involved. There might be a show the next day because I tend to lose my voice afterwards. But yeah, we'll have to do it on a Friday night. How that works. Anyway, that's Oliver Anthony. The other interesting thing about him, he comes from Appalachia. And the Appalachians aren't known exactly for their well, let's just say they have their own currency up there, right? And what do they do with the American currency? Well, every one of them writes "ain't shit" in reference to Oliver Anthony's song line, where the dollar ain't worth shit, the dollar bill ain't worth shit. Now, that's just one. But I can tell you there is a bar in Appalachia that is absolutely covered with $1 bills with people who've signed "ain't worth shit" and put their name to it, all full of it. And not one of them gets stolen. I wonder how that would go here in Australia. Wonder whether or not that money would stay on the walls or wherever. But at any rate, go and check that out. It is a song about our struggle, not just their struggle. It's a song about us all. From child trafficking to what big finance has done to us all. It's a very, very, very powerful song. So check that out. And I think Adash just told me that, there you go, dropped a new song this morning, "I Want to Go Home." Well, I only want to go home when the fight's over, folks, when we won the war. That might be a great name for a song. All good to it. But let's get on with it. And through your support, folks, we're going to be able to get on with it. And I want you to be part of it. We need you to still be part of it. I still have an internet bill I've got to pay at some stage. If I go off the air, what's today's date? Oh, well, I've got 3 days. If I go off the air after the 26th, you'll know that it's just because I haven't been able to pay my overdue Telstra bill. But aside from that, in the near future, all that hopefully will be fixed. So, and when it is, I will make a formal announcement and let you in on what's happening. It'll be very exciting, and it will mean that that we will be able to come and see you. We will be able to offer all sorts of new services, and hopefully, if you've got a business, you might be able to help get us a galactic larrikin on the road, particularly if you're in the boating, camping, fishing, cooking kind of areas. I'll throw that out as a bit of a hook. If you own a tackle store, or you're part of a chain of tackle stores, or if you, camping, outdoors shop, something like that, a family outdoors business, there might be an opportunity for us to do some mutual back scratching. And as long as we don't scratch too hard, we shouldn't rub a hole in the tent. Well, we might help you sell a few tents. That would be the aim. There has to be something in this for everybody, folks. Otherwise, there's no point in us doing it. If you don't win, if I don't win, if your next door neighbor doesn't win, if my daughter doesn't win, if my housemate doesn't win, there's no point in what we're doing. So let's help those that help us. Let's insulate ourselves from an economy that's going to eat itself very shortly. And we do that through my place, through the Unity Hub, and through the Voice of Freedom. Really, really hope that we can put this together, folks. Thank you so much for your support. Please like the show, like and subscribe, as Aussie Cossack has said. Thank you, Veronique, for your super sticker. J1, thank you for yours too. You must be sitting back in that chair with a pretty contented look on your face, I imagine. Thank you so much. I'm just scrolling up to see if there's any more in there that I missed. J1, another $10. Thank you, mate. So thank you for your super stickers, folks. It guarantees that I actually see your question too, if you have one. There you go. Eliza, what can I say? I hope you're pardon me. I hope you're feeling better. I think I got a message somewhere along the lines you weren't feeling too well. Misha, yeah, absolutely. Unified community. Thank you so much for your stickers tonight too, sweetheart. I hope things go well in your part of the world, and hopefully we'll be in that in the not too distant future. South Australians, I've been promising, I don't know for how long, that we're coming to South Australia. Now that is going to happen. Ads, raffles and door prizes. Yep. You bear in mind, you're talking to a bloke who spent years giving away packets of chips and icy cold Coke on the corner, on street corners everywhere. So yes, there will be a bit of that coming up in the future. And some of those prizes, some of those competitions are ones you really want to be part of. Pardon me. Sorry, still hurts to cough. Quite a lot. So yeah, come and be a member, because at this stage, until we can navigate a proper way to do things, we can only do member competitions. And trust me, the next competition we do, you are going to want to be a member and be part of this. And your membership can be whatever you choose it to be, from $1.25 up. Hopefully we will be able to change that in the not too distant future, so that competitions can be open to anybody, so you don't have to be a member. But we have to be able to jump through a few legal hoops for that to happen, and that has been a cost issue that hitherto we are unable to meet. So there is still a level of financial support I guess we are going to be seeking, but it's not necessarily going to be asking, as I see it, begging, and I hate it, as Vince will tell you. Yeah, I hate it. So I want to do everything I can to find another way. But the only way I know how to do things is to help promote you and your business, you and yourself, you and your powers, to empower you to help sell you. And for those of you who have nothing to sell, well, what you have to give is you, your time, your effort, your knowledge. And all you have to give it to is your neighbor, or the person up the road, or a new friend that you met walking through Coles buying tainted produce because it's all been sprayed and GM'd out of its existence. So that's when you meet those kinds of people and you drag them off to the My Place market on Sunday, where you can get everything that's organic, everything that's safe, everything that hasn't been injected with some hormone or some other piece of poison as they try to nail our asses. We can only win by coming together, unifying, folks. And the Voice of Freedom has always been about unifying us, finding a unified solution for us. That's where the U in unified and the solution bits come from, you know, the U and the S. It's us. We are the solution. And to do that, we got to level up our frequency. Some will be able to, some won't. But for those that are able to, for those that are willing to try, for those that are willing to participate, reach out, ask for help, receive guidance, and offer it, then we have to give them a place to come to. Everywhere. Not just in the odd place around the country, but everywhere. Every town, every suburb, every city in this country, and in New Zealand. My place is going to come to New Zealand. Trust me on that point. And when it does, there'll be a bloody cricket game. None of this rugby shit. There'll be a bloody cricket game. And we won't bowl underarms. We'll outlaw that completely. Just saying. I don't like Trevor Chappell either. Although it wasn't Trevor's fault. It was his brother. Dickhead. It's only people of a certain age that are going to understand any of that referencing, but there you go. Big plans, folks. And if we can get my place into New Zealand, maybe we can get it into Port Moresby. Maybe we can get it into Indonesia, Bali. What about my place, Bali? Anybody got friends in Bali? Anybody know a bar in Bali? I mean, it would take a hell of a lot of convincing to get me on a plane to Bali for any reason. I think if you've watched me or you've watched these programs, you might know that I lost 3 friends in the Bali bombing, and I'm not known for my forgiveness in that area. I found it very difficult to forgive. But maybe in my place in Bali is what I need to learn how to forgive. Wouldn't that be a thing? Yeah, wouldn't that be a thing? Shit. To get me on a plane to Bali. It's going to take some convincing. But never say never. I can't believe I've just had this conversation out loud with you. Because if somebody comes out and says, let's start a thing in Bali and Carl, you're coming. Yeah, I'd have to. I think I'd prefer to go to the donkey sanctuary at this juncture. So thank you, Sandy, you lovely lady. Yeah, no justice in Bali, George. That's my issue. No justice. Adulation, easy jail time. That's what you get in Bali. So if you are going to start at my place in Bali, then I'm probably not going to visit. Just saying. But I'd love to see one there. Doesn't mean other people can't go and enjoy it. I've got my own personal biases and I admit them. All right? Right or wrong, I admit them. And I'm happy to be challenged on them, but don't really care. Don't care enough to find out. For what George said, no justice. I don't care. No justice. And that leads me to the leveling of a frequency thing, because I'm a bit conflicted there. How can I say that I want to level up my frequency, that I want to level up, be a better person, be a better man, be a better human, and have no forgiveness for something that happened so long ago? And yeah, is that the conundrum we face? Is that, that little battle that I'm having in myself, is that the battle that you're having too? Is this how we are meant to level up? By finding a way through that sort of personal bitterness, that sort of personal struggle, that sort of personal hatred? because that's what it is. It's fucking hatred. Shit, this is an area I didn't think I was going to go tonight. Wow. That concerns me. How do I level up? How do I raise my frequency when I still have those sorts of feelings? I need to learn how to do that. We all need to learn how to do that, I think, in our own way. Maybe this is... I don't know. An interesting question, isn't it? I'm sorry, I've sort of talked myself into a hole here. Yeah, let it go. I should. God knows I've let everything else go in my life. Why do I hang on to that? I'm not sure I completely understand why I hang on to it. And it is a hatred, but it's a hatred I resigned myself to years ago and don't give any thought to. I resigned years ago that my little personal protest would be, I didn't care what happened. I wouldn't be going to Bali for any reason. I wasn't going to spend $1 in Bali for any reason. And that was the only decision. That was going to be my little personal protest. And I've never been. I have no interest in going. And it still remains that way. Not just because of what happened with the bombings, but I just have no interest. No interest. Be that as it may, sad, limp dick or not, whatever it is. But, yeah, you're quite right. To those who suggest I have to forgive, I have to get over it. I've got to give it up. And but does that mean I still have that? Does that mean I should go to my place in Bali? Because I still have no interest in visiting Bali, ever. If I had to go to a stinking shithole that, you know, had monkeys stealing my shit, I'd probably go to Africa. But that'd be a personal choice. I prefer Africa than Bali. I prefer to go and see the sights and sounds of Africa than I would the sights and sounds of Bali. But who knows? No, I don't think I need to go to Bali either. But it has raised an interesting point in me about frequency. It's all great to sit here and talk about leveling up and, you know, operating at a higher vibrational level, being more in tune with humanity, forgiveness being a huge part of that, and then not being able to forgive Bali. I am going to go to work on that because that's a personal realization you saw me have live. Wow, wasn't that thrilling for us all? Sorry about that. You got to remember, I've had a lot of painkillers recently, haven't been well. And it's you that brings this sort of stuff out in me. I'm blaming you. How long have we been going? Shit, over an hour. Pardon me. Well, that one didn't hurt as much. I'll let you go off, and we started late tonight, so I won't finish without talking about this little document. Some of you may or may not have seen this pop up recently. I got this last night from a couple of different sources. Oh, hello to everybody from QSI tonight who are watching too. Thank you for your love and support, folks. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as the Cossack would say. This document has come out of ASIC. The Commonwealth of Australia Liquidator and Managing Controller Appointed Business Name Registration. What is the business name? The Commonwealth of Australia Liquidator and Managing Controller Appointed. That is the name of this business name. You'll also see down there it has a pending registration status. That means it is as unyet or is still an unregistered business name, not a company. It is not anything at all. It's a business name. Now, it hasn't been accepted. It hasn't been issued an ABN because ABNs are only issued after there is an acceptance of the company's registration or the business name registration. Now, keep an eye on the ASIC site, those folks that are finding these, and go back and have a look at our previous ASIC investigations. Go back and have a look at the Australian Tax Department videos that we did with Cass, and then do your own investigation to see whether or not anything has changed again about those documents as well. Keep an eye on these ones. This one says registration pending. So nothing has been registered. Nothing is in play, and it means absolutely nothing. Anybody can register a business name, and call it whatever they like, calling it the Australian Commonwealth or Commonwealth of Australia bracket Liquidator and Managing Controller Company or whatever the hell it is just a name. Same as calling it, Peter's Teapots. Has exactly the same effect. It makes you think one thing, but it could in fact do something completely different. And it may just be another one of those sort of fake things that are put up there, and ASIC catch them, they filter them through. So that's why the registration is still pending. So let's not get too excited about that just yet. I haven't seen an update on that at the moment, but I did pass it along to Cass Smith, who is going to go and give that the once over. She actually is in a place at the moment where she doesn't have access to a computer, so she will do her thing by drilling down into it, but I'm sure there are those of you who have that same access that she's paid to have can do that already. I think what we need to do is drill down deeper into it and try and find out the names associated with that business name, the company, if there is any company behind that business name, and the names associated with that company or that entity. But I'm at this stage reasonably confident that there won't be anything on those pages because it is still a pending registration. You may have jumped the gun by that much. They might have just had it sitting there waiting to be registered, at which point they could start moving it. Now, with this kind of exposure, my guess is it's not going to be allowed registration and it will just quietly fade away. There will be something else that will pop up. So just my opinion, we're all allowed to have one, like ourselves. It's all good. I see Pineapple. What's happened with Pineapple? I'm sorry, Pineapple. I'm going to try and scroll back to try and see what's happened, but there are so many comments I might miss you. Oh, no. Right, I think I found it. Wow, I'm so sorry for that, Pineapple. Not the only one, unfortunately. And it's hard to try and educate people while they're grieving. We can't educate people while they're grieving. We've got to hope in the weeks after that, as they come out of that grief, they come out with their eyes opened a little wider and asking questions. It is useful if you understand the stages of grief and you feel that you can... What I'm saying is there is a way that you can work this into the conversation during the stages of grief. However, you need to be very confident with the way you present it, and you need to be very caring in the way that you present it. And it's not, I wouldn't recommend it for beginners, put it that way. But there is a time as the grieving begins to ease where conversations are possible, education, enlightenment is possible. Hopefully, we can give you those skills through what we're going to be building up. And hopefully, if you have those skills and you'd like to share them, you'll come to us. We want your skills. We want to showcase you. The Voice of Freedom has never been about me. The Voice of Freedom has been about you. And if you've got skills, if you've got, maybe they are medical, physical, metaphysical, maybe they are crafty, buildery, electrics, whatever. If you have skills, maybe you grow alpaca, you shave them, you spin that wool into alpaca thread, and you knit alpaca jumpers, charging a fortune for them. Would you like us to help you sell them? We would love to. You may need a few more alpaca. I hear they're popular. And if you're any good at knitting, wouldn't that be good? Do you even use alpaca wool to knit with, or is it too thick? There you go. Questions for my mum. She was a dynamite knitter back in the day. Sorry, Bruce, I've rolled up on that when I've scrolled down, and I don't know what looks like a message from the Thai assassin. Oh, maybe that. Uma, I don't know how I translate that. Maybe I'm going to take a screenshot. Unless, of course, that says, hi, Carl, we're going to sue you. I really hope it doesn't say that. But it's probably more likely to say, you come this way, we're going to offer you a great deal on your bank account or something. It looks like it. I don't know. Don't know what it says. I will try and copy that out and put it in a translator. Oh, can I copy it? No, I don't think I can even copy it out of the chat. I'll have to do it later. So I will look into that and find out exactly what it says. But yeah, thanks, Brucey. That was a very good line. No accountability in Australia. Yes, J1, that's what we hope to help eradicate. And there is a lot of work going on in the background about accountability and who should be accountable and how they should be made accountable. Unfortunately, that last question, how to make them accountable, is one that we lack a solution for at this point. But it's coming. You and you form part of that solution. We all form part of that solution. Unity through community, ground up. From street to street, town to town, suburb to suburb, city to city, we unify as the people. And the place the people like to meet, the classy ones, the ones in the know, is my place. Get one started in your town soon. Thank you, folks. I will let you go. Thank you for your support again. If you want to donate, go to vofhq.com, throw a few bucks in there. That'll help get us on the road. We are going to be looking for a lot of fuel money. I can tell you that. A lot of fuel money. So if you can help kick us off with a bit of it, that would be awesome. South Australia. If you're in South Australia, get a hold of Rachel. Send an email to rachel@vofhq.com. Our next major road trip will be down to South Australia. That will necessarily incorporate parts of New South Wales and Victoria. And but ultimately, been promising South Australia for over a year now. I think we're going to get there. So I'm desperate to come down there. Vince is from down there. Mannum, we are definitely coming to Mannum. But I also know that Coober Pedy was a place we wanted to go. I think Victor Harbour and places south down the Fleurieu Peninsula. I want to say Port Augusta. I think there were 4 dates or 4 places in Adelaide that were keen. So we want to do that, folks. So get in touch with Rachel. We're putting the tour. The band is getting back together. and it's coming to a town near you. Bigger, brighter, and, well, considerably different to what it's done before. Come to Port Macquarie. Yep. North Haven. Absolutely. Misha. 100%. I haven't been to Port Macquarie ever in my life. Laura and I nearly stopped in there on a drive back not so long ago. It was just going to leave us. We were going to stay overnight, but it left us too far from where we needed to be the next day. So we kept going. However, Port Macquarie, big plans to come to Port Macquarie. Love the Central Coast. Coffs Harbour. We will be come back to Coffs Harbour. We're obviously going to run into some issues with TAP. I don't talk about TAP much because, well, frankly, they're not worth talking about. However, they do have some followers, and they do have some. Well, I don't know if they have any original ideas, but they do like stealing, particularly my place ideas, as it turns out. Who knew? And that's okay. At the end of the day, it's okay not to have an original idea. It's okay to take somebody else's original idea and do something with it. Just do the right thing with it. All right? Set it up as transparently as the My Place is. And you call it whatever you like. Nobody cares. All good. All power to you. Hi, Cooker28. Haven't had a cooker in a while. Lovely to have you as part of it. All good. So, yeah, something to consider down the line for that anyway. I've said goodbye twice and haven't shut up yet, so got to do something about that. I'm seeing the back end of a conversation there, but Trump's mugshot is something that we will hopefully find out more about this week. Thursday, of course, Thursday American time, Friday hours. I think it'll be about midnight Friday night, our time. He will front in Atlanta, Georgia, to be arrested and charged with 10, I think, different counts. It's not just him. I believe there are 18 people going to be processed with him at the same time. I wouldn't expect him to be going to jail. Don't worry about that. Actually, hello, Margaret. Love your work. I was talking to Margaret today. She was concerned that he might wind up in jail. No, he won't wind up in jail. He's a former president that is guaranteed a Secret Service detail for life. And you can be guaranteed that the Secret Service are not going to be allowing their blokes to be locked up alongside him for the rest of their lives. So and I can't possibly see it actually happening. They might try, but I can't see it happening. If they were to lock him down in some way, they would probably make it house arrest, and Mar-a-Lago would be where he would go, only because the Secret Service would have ultimate say over where they could guard him. And it doesn't really matter how big it is. He wouldn't be able to play golf. He wouldn't be able to get around and go outside. He'd be locked inside, the whole time. But still a big property. Yeah, look, I honestly don't think it's going to happen. Will he even be arrested? I don't know. He'd have to turn up. He'd have to turn up in the state to do it. If he did turn up in the state, it's almost daring them to do it. Him walking in and presenting himself to them is saying, "Here I am, you stupid individual. Charge me, please charge me." He's begging to be charged. There is a reason he is begging to be charged. There is a reason he is making it so easy for them to find him, to get to him. He's presenting himself. And that's because as soon as they charge him, he gets the full gamut of the law on his side to expose and prove his truth. And in doing so, because I believe the Trump team has all the proof, all the truth of how the 2020 election was rigged and stolen from him, all the electronic, verifiable, trackable proof of vote rigging, then anybody who comes into that courtroom that's subpoenaed and tells a different story and presents data that is different to what is the irrefutable proof that I believe the Trump team will have, will simply be exposing themselves to be a fool or to be part of the whole plan and complicit with the idea of committing treason to steal an election from a sitting president. Now, if you were an Alabama director of public prosecutions, you would think you would be smart enough to see that trap that Trump is opening wide to set for them. But, and I'm sure they do see it, but the fact is the Democrats, the Democratic political party, are pushing this agenda, and they are insane. They are in their death throes, and they are prepared in a Hail Mary pass kind of way to hope that they'll gain some sort of traction here with this. That isn't going to happen. The safest thing for the DPP to do would be to offer the former president a cup of tea or coffee and a tour of his office before saying, "Is there anything else I can help you with before you leave, sir?" And have the whole lot of them traipse out again without making any reference to any kind of charges or any kind of arrest. That's what I'd be doing if I was the DPP. But I don't think they're that smart. Or are just unable because of the complicit crooks that they work with in the DPP, in the Democrat Party. I also, on a different note, think there is a reason that the only hurricane to hit California in the last however many tens or 20s or hundreds of years was nicknamed Hillary. Not nicknamed, named Hillary. Not sure that she's done quite the damage that was being portrayed in the mainstream media, but I have no doubt there is a lot of damage being done. A lot of water going into very deep holes in and around Los Angeles. And to top it all off, there was a 5.1 shake of the earth out there too, I think, in the last 24 hours or so. I think once in one of my previous shows, I told you that a couple of psychics once showed me a redrawn map of the world where California did not exist on the West Coast. And I was told at that time that during an earthquake, it had simply broken off and fallen to the bottom of the ocean. That was all of California and part of Mexico and part of Canada. That's San Andreas' fault and others. Just be a bit careful. And you know they've been screwing around with tunnels and weather machines and all sorts of things. So, yeah. I've also, while like being incapacitated doesn't stop me from listening to things and reading things. And in the last couple of days, I've been listening to a bloke who is claiming, once again, putting dates on things in the finance business, that Wall Street's looking shaky. That'd be the shaky I'm thinking. Wall Street's looking shaky. And September, October, big crash, people jumping out of windows. It's all ending. I know others have said that, are saying that. Look, take it with a pinch of salt. However, do a little bit of research and you will discover that every major financial market crash has happened in September, October. That's in the history of the market. So have a look at that. There is a lot of different fluctuations with, lots of different currencies against the US dollar. That is because the US dollar is currently being propped in a huge way. Otherwise, it would have collapsed already. I think one of the major triggers to the collapse of the US dollar is the fact that Evergrande went underground or went under on last Saturday, I think it was. Evergrande is the Chinese building company that also happens to own the shipping company that owns the big Evergrande ship that went sideways in the Suez Canal back in the day and blocked that up. That same ship that they got, I think it was 5,000 children and women, female slaves out of containers from, 5 nuclear weapons, and some other new tech weather modification equipment, all taken off the decks of that thing while it was turned sideways in the Suez Canal. So Evergrande has gone underwater. Now, there is a gentleman from Harvey Bay who has been predicting and telling me that this was on the cards now for, I think, probably the better part of at least 2 years. He was there and heard that this was going to happen, heard how it was going to be induced. And to understand the true scale of what we're talking about here, Evergrande used to underpin the building industry in China. They had a lot of low doc mortgage loans. They had a debt versus capital problem in that they had, I think, up to 11 times the debt that their capital could actually cover. It was being supported corruptly by the CCP and allowed to keep functioning. And of course, if you are a believer that there is a war going on in the background, you'll understand that the CCP was taken over some time ago, that Xi Jinping is a white hat, and this is all part of the plan. Evergrande is hooked into America's debt as well. Some years ago, after I want to say it was the GFC in 2008, America was obviously in catastrophic debt crisis because their banks and mortgage lenders had been low doc loaning, and they were mortgaged up to the hilt. Banks had more debt than they did have capital to cover that debt. And when people started walking away from their properties because interest rates were rising, and that's what happens in America, you just leave the keys in the letterbox and walk away from your property. The bank resumes the property and you don't have to pay any differences out in most cases. That's how that whole GFC thing crashed. So Evergrande bought trillions and trillions of dollars of US debt, meaning the CCP actually bought trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars of US debt. Now, this created quite a large problem for America because that gave them what in their language is a trade imbalance. It meant that China had the sway over the trade negotiations because they held so much of America's debt. If they decided to start releasing it, it would drop the US dollar, putting it on shaky ground. So China held the big stick at the negotiating table with regard to owning American debt and being able to gain concessions. That's how they gained a concession in the car industry, for instance. If you ever owned a Chinese car, particularly an early one, you'll know that the electrics are pretty shit. Part of the deal that was they were able to do after they'd purchased all this American debt and held it over the US government was they were able to close down 11 GM factories, car manufacturing companies, some of the oldest in America. They were able to close down 11 GM factories on the proviso that they built 8 new robot and, vastly understaffed, people-wise, more completely automatic factories in China to produce the cars they were selling in America and everywhere else. In return for that offer, China also demanded that GM give the wiring loom schematics for their series and models of cars to the Chinese so that they could copy them and put them into their own cars and stop them catching fire while they were parked at the local Aldi on a Saturday morning, because the wiring in them was that shit. They used to quite frequently catch fire. So that's essentially the story of the American debt. Now, I can see here Daniel's put down the CCP have dumped trillions, hundreds of billions of American bonds in the last days. Yes, I think they're making another run on the American dollar now, Daniel. I think that's the case. And with the CCP in control, beg your pardon, with the white hat in control of the CCP, this will work completely in line with a BRICS strategy, break the American dollar. And Venezuela signed up recently. Somebody else just signed up recently to BRICS and formally changed over to it. I think there are 120 odd or plus countries who have signed on and agreed they will go to BRICS. The active number of that, I think, is not quite 200. It might be 196. And Australia is one of those countries that has signed on to it, but has yet to do anything about it. It's committed to signing on to it, but we haven't obviously heard publicly that we're moving in any way to move away from an American dollar to BRICS. Now, the reason we might not have heard about that so far is that there is a camp that believes we are fully owned by the United States of America Corporation and being guided by them. And of course, it would be in their best interests that we support the American dollar. So anyway, don't take financial advice from me or believe the news that I tell you. Go and find it out for yourself. It's always the best advice, folks. Do your own research. Have yourself a great night. I'm sorry I've been away for a couple of days. Hopefully, unless something major happens, I fall over or I cough or, God forbid, I sneeze and do myself another mischief, which means I can't lie down, I will be back tomorrow night. And at that stage, I hope that Aussie Sue will have told me the name of the new granddaughter. And I'm sure she has let all you guys know. I'll just have to go back through the chat when I finish here and have a read through everything that you've said. Thank you, everybody, for your continued support, whether it be through our YouTube channels, whether it be through the Rumble channel over there, and the other places where we're now streaming and the soon-to-be new places we're going to be streaming. Tell your friends, folks. It's going to be a hell of a ride. Get them on board. The Voice of Freedom is going in for a growth spurt very shortly, and it's entirely thanks to you. And it's only with your support, only with your continued help, advice, guidance, only through you sending me the stories that you find that I can follow up, that we can make a difference, that we can join together, we can unify, we can find a solution for us all and raise our vibration level. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe even get me on a plane to Bali. No, I'll be honest. That's not going to happen.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!